A user profile needs to be created in order for a crew member to use the Total Super Yacht system. This instructional video will take you through the full process of adding a new user to the system, as well as setting the required certificates and employment forms that you need them to provide. The Users page is where you create the profile and login credentials, as well as set the access permissions for each crew member. To add a new user, click the Add New User button. Enter the user's name and surname and their employed date. The hours of rest forms for this user will display from the month you enter here. Enter their end date here to restrict access when they are no longer employed. When you create a new profile, a welcome email with the login credentials will be sent to the email address you enter here. Credentials are entered here, and please note that usernames must be unique and passwords must be a minimum of 6 characters. Upload an image of the user here. Next is the user type. There are 3 user types to select from. Crew member, which only allows the user to access basic working tools. HOD, which allows the user to manage the data for their department. And Onboard Administrator, which allows the user full access to the system. Enter the crew member's position. This will auto-populate along with their name on drill reports and safety meetings. Next, enter the user's primary department. All entries assigned to that department will be visible to the user. Set the permissions to allow the user to see the ISM elements by ticking the ISM checkbox. Marking the user as a safety meeting participant will place the user's name on the safety meeting report list. If the user is a navigational watchkeeper or lookout, then check this box so the user's hours of rest report is automatically marked as a watchkeeper. If you need the user to have visibility into other departments, set the permissions here. By checking the Able to Publish Checklists checkbox, you permit the user to publish checklists specific to their primary department without the OBA's approval. By checking the Verify on iPad application checkbox, you are giving permission to allow the user to complete and verify a checklist on the iPad app. To give the crew member the ability to assign a task to a work list directly on the iPad, check the Assign Work List checkbox. Identify the safety role of a crew member should they have one. And lastly, if the crew member should be allowed to edit the planned maintenance schedule, tick here. Once all the user's information is entered, click Submit to activate the user. Now the user has been created, you are able to set the required documents that the crew member needs to provide. Click the Crew Details tab in the navigational panel and select which user the settings will apply to. Then select the Required Documents tab. Identify the required certificates by clicking the Certificates tab, then choose Set Required. Identify which certificates the crew member is required to supply to the vessel. Should a certificate be required that is not in the list, click the Add New button. Only the checked certificates will display in the crew member's profile. So, when the crew member logs in and clicks on the Crew Certificates tab, they can upload their own certificates. To set the required familiarizations, click on the Familiarizations tab. Only the checked familiarizations will display in the crew member's profile. If they are a new crew member, they can complete the required familiarizations on the iPad app. If the crew member has previously completed their familiarizations, you can upload them here. Once the required familiarizations are identified, click the Required Employment Forms tab and repeat the process. Only the checked employment forms will display in the crew member's profile. If they are a new crew member, they can download the employment form and submit it electronically from their own profile. If the crew member has previously completed their employment forms, you can upload them here. When a new crew member is added to the system, they will automatically receive a welcome email that will include their credentials and a link to open the Yachts Cloud site. Once logged in, they can enter their own personal, bank, and medical details, as well as upload their certificates and employment forms before they even step on board. Now that's a time saver.